Yes, hello, and welcome to another movie review. This time again, a horror movie with the name of Sinister. Yes, I finally can review this movie. And yeah, if you're wondering why the lightning is like that, it's because I literally just watched this movie, so it's at the middle of the night, and that's why it looks a little bit less good. So I apologize for that, but yeah, I hope it still looks okay. Um, yes, like always, I'm first going to do a little DVD review. So, um, this one is of course the cover, which I actually really like. I think it's one of the better looking covers in my opinion. The side, nothing special, Sinister of course, and then the back. Um, yes, here we have it. Pretty simple. And from the inside, it's actually the cover with the FSK 16 symbol. So that's really nice that I could change that. And yeah, here we have the normal DVD. Really nice, a nice looking DVD. And yeah, let's come to the actual movie. So Sinister was actually released in 2012, so it's already been 8 years, which is mad because I actually remember when this first came out. I didn't watch it in theaters though. But yeah, it has a one-time off. Let me see, 105 minutes. What else? It was directed by Scott Derrickson. You probably know Scott Derrickson from Doctor Strange. He actually directed that one. He also directed a few other horror movies, so he's actually a really good director. I actually didn't knew that Sinister was directed by him. This DVD also has some bonus material, some interviews, behind the scenes, and a trailer. Yeah, the behind the scenes was actually nothing special. It was just a few scenes. It was interesting to see, but nothing amazing. Yes, it like I already said, it's FSK 16, and yeah, now I'm actually coming to the movie. So like always, spoiler alert for those of you who haven't seen it. Yeah, it actually opens with Buguls, which is actually this character here. If you don't know, if of Bugul's videotape with the tree actually. Then they showed Allison, which is played by Ethan Hawke, and his wife and two kids, Ashley and Trevor, moving in a house. And Allison is actually he's a writer. He's a true crime writer, and he also knew about the history of the house. That's why he actually decided to move in there. And the history, of course, is that the family hang on the tree in their backyard. And yeah, so he wants to write a book, obviously, about it, or he wants to find out what actually happened to them because the one of the kids, a girl, actually went missing. So in the attic, he finds videotapes or films, and he actually sees the first two films. The one from earlier with the tree, and the other one was with a family burning in a car. Then we're actually coming to one of the better scenes of the movie, which was Trevor being inside of one of the moving boxes at night. That was actually really terrifying the first time I watched it. And the first time I watched it, I actually thought it was a girl because Trevor has really long hair. So that was kind of confusing the first time. But yeah, that was a good scene. Then the next morning, he actually Allison watches the third film, which is the pool party where the family drowned. And there's also this first time he sees Bugul in the water, actually, or a reflection of him in the water. Later that night, he watches the fourth film, which was family getting their throat cuts, and that was also the first time the symbol appears. Later that night, he hears a noise coming from the attic, and it turns out it actually was just a snake. he also finds some pictures of the films actually, and he breaks through through the roof straight up to the ground, and the police actually came for whatever reason to band his leg, which I didn't understand because um don't you call the ambulance or not the police? I don't know. That was kind of confusing. It still confuses me, but yeah. One of the police officers was actually a fan of him, and he says he wants to help him. The next morning, he sees the picture, and he sees that in every picture there is another person called Mr. Boogie, which we found later out that is basically Bugul, and he's actually in all films. And then later that night, Trevor, no, Allison actually hears a noise outside, and he goes looking after it, and he sees that it's actually Trevor in the bushes, which was actually mad creepy scene. That scene is still creepy to this day, in my opinion. The next day, police officer from earlier comes back to visit him, and because he actually helped him before to search some stuff on the internet, and he actually wants to know the story. So Allison tells him it, and later that night he watches the fifth and the final film where a family gets straight up killed by a mover, which is actually mad. Then we get introduced to Professor Jonas, Vincent D'Onofrio's character. For those of you who don't know, Vincent D'Onofrio watch Daredevil. And he actually explains what the symbol means. It's basically like a worship of Bugul, and Bugul is basically like a demon thing. He is called the eater of children, actually, and not literally, but the souls of children. He lures them or he takes them to his world. Then later that night, we actually get one of the jump scares, which actually one of the how do you say that? One of the most memorable jump scares I actually ever had in my life, and it's not even good. But I will actually wait. I explain the jump scare. It's basically if you have seen the movie, it's when Ashley was in bed and the camera like turns away from her because she actually has her eyes open and sees or stares at the wall, and we see the picture drawing of the family hanging on the tree and the little girl sitting next to it. And why this actually scared me so the first time was because I actually didn't see the little girl. I only saw the drawing. So I just noticed the girl when she says shh. When she says shh, yes. And that actually scared the living hell out of me. And yeah, that was actually really good and really memorable for me the first time. Then also the next day, I think it was one of my favorite jump scares actually comes with the attic. I think if you know this movie, then you know which scene I'm talking about with the attic and Bugul and the children. That's actually one of my favorite jump scares, like of all movies. I really like that scene. It was really well made in my opinion. Then Allison obviously got so scared that he burns all the films, and the whole family moves back to the old house, but turns out it didn't matter because the police officer actually calls him and tells him that he found out that each family lived in this house at least once, and yeah, so Alice knows that basically means that they are fucked, and yeah, the professor also talks to him again, and he actually says that Bugul possesses children through the pictures. And the symbol is basically like a gateway to his world. Allison then finds the box again, which he actually burnt, on the attic of his old house, which makes no sense. So he knew that there wasn't any escape. He then later that night sees an extended cut of the film, which he hasn't seen yet, which was basically showing what happened after the killing. And it turns out it was the missing kids who killed, who every time killed the family. And then we obviously coming to the ending with Ashley drugging all of them, and basically even though we haven't seen it, we later found out because she draws a picture of it. decapitating all of her family, which is actually really sad, with an axe. Then we see at the end that Bugul takes her to his world, and a sixth film appears in a box on the attic, and a little jump scare also at the end, which I personally didn't need, but I guess it's a nice way to end it, you know? Yeah, that's basically the whole movie. To the acting, I actually think the acting is great. I wouldn't give it a 10 out of 10, but definitely a 9 out of 10. Really amazing acting, also by the kids. The story itself is absolutely genius, in my opinion. I also saw the interview with Scott Derrickson on the DVD, and he said the same thing, that when he first saw a rough cut of the script, he thought it was a genius idea, and I definitely agree with him that it's an amazing idea. I also really like the soundtrack, like with the whole, not just music, but like a really unsettling tone. It's actually really scary theme, in my opinion. And yeah. What else? Yeah, the actors themselves. Ethan Hawke, of course. I think you know who Ethan Hawke is. He's actually a really good actor. And also James Vanson also plays the police officer, who, spoiler alert, comes back for the second movie. And yeah, I think that was all I had to say about this movie. For me personally, I enjoy this movie every time I watch it. It's actually one of the first horror movies I've watched in my life. So I think I saw this movie at least 7 times with this one. I think at least 7 times. I think I actually watched it the first time in 2014. So it's basically 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Yeah, it's basically 7 times, which is mad. But yeah, so you can already make up your mind what I will rate this movie, because I really enjoyed it, if you haven't realized it yet. For me, it's a 9 out of 10, which basically means that it's amazing, and I wouldn't give it a 9.1 out of 10, because it isn't a movie which is near perfection. It's an amazing movie, but it's not near perfection. I wouldn't give it that, but I would give it the highest amazing number, which is basically 9. So yeah, I think this movie is amazing. And if you haven't seen this movie, go see it. It's really good. And yeah, that was it for Sinister. I hope you enjoyed this this review, and I will see you in the next one, which will hopefully be Sinister 2. And yeah, see you then.
Wanna see you in slow motion. Come stay the night, we can stay up till it's bright. In the morning, got the top open. Come take a ride, we can go where you like. I wanna see you in slow motion. Come stay the night.